Hi, I'm Kevin Michalowski, editor of Concealed Carry Magazine, and I owe some of you a brief apology. In a few recent episodes of Into the Fray, and on the pages of Concealed Carry Magazine, we've been using some terms that people don't understand. They haven't been around guns as long as the rest of us on the Concealed Carry Magazine staff has, and I apologize for that. I've been at the pistol range since I was 10 years old, shooting competitions with my father, and sometimes I just assume that when I use terms, everybody else knows what those terms are. So we're not going to do that. First, we're going to go through two of the terms that have been asked of me repeatedly. People want to know what's the difference between a striker-fired pistol and a hammer-fired pistol. And then a couple of people have asked, what am I talking about when I say double stack or single stack? So first, we'll go through striker-fired versus hammer-fired. Striker-fired pistol is typical of the Glock design. There is no exposed hammer. What detonates the cartridge inside the pistol is simply a striker, a firing pin that's held back by spring pressure and released when you pull the trigger. In the case of the Glock pistol, the Glock safe action trigger is actually a double action trigger. It does two things. It cocks the firing mechanism as you press the trigger, and it releases the striker inside. You'll hear it, and that's what fires the round. Now the Glock system comes apart very easily, and this is what you see inside. The striker is housed inside the system and nothing is exposed to the outside. A hammer-fired pistol, on the other hand, is very typical of the 1911 pattern pistols. It's one you've seen very, very much. The hammer-fired pistol has an exposed hammer. Many hammer-fired pistols are single action, meaning that the trigger does only one thing. It simply releases the hammer to make the hammer fall. That's all the trigger does. That's the difference when we're talking about single action or double action. A double action trigger will both cock the hammer or striker and release it. A single action simply releases the hammer, and that's all there is to it. Now, to make things even a little bit more complicated, some modern pistols like this Sky pistol are actually hammer-fired pistols, but they look like striker-fired pistols. The hammer is shrouded inside the slide, and the double action trigger pull both cocks and releases the hammer. You can see if you look closely in there, the hammer is actually moving back and forth, but it's completely shrouded so that nothing on this pistol will snag on you as you're drawing it from cover. Now that covers hammer-fired and striker-fired pistols. Now I've made reference to single stack and double stack. That's magazine capacity, not actually capacity, but design. A single stack magazine, as is commonly used in the 1911 pistols and other small frame or narrow frame pistols, is a single stack magazine. It simply means that the rounds are in one single stack, vertically one atop the other inside the magazine tube. Now the benefits of a single stack pistol is that it creates a much narrower grip frame, a much narrower profile when you're carrying the pistol or when you're grabbing the pistol. A double stack design is typically a lot wider, and it stacks the rounds alternatingly, one atop the other, offset. Makes for a wider design, but it gives you a much larger magazine capacity. This single stack 1911 magazine holds 7 rounds. This double stack Glock 19 magazine holds 15 rounds. If we're looking at a Glock 17, that would hold 17 rounds. So the difference between double stack and single stack is just that. It's how the rounds are stacked inside the magazine. If you have any more questions, just send us an email. I'm Kevin Michalowski, editor of Concealed Carry Magazine.